queens, stand up and sing with me. We were kings and queens, wake up and live your dreams. My kings and queens, stand up and sing with me.
Welcome back to The Exchange. We are back with our roundtable discussion of politics. With us in the studio is special guest Matthew Ternsky, USG Senator at Large. Welcome.
Hi.
Also with us is Sam Fuhr, and then Sarah Jane Nagel.
Hi.
Right?
Yeah.
And so, what do you guys think about the politics for today?
I thought it was really interesting in The Man on the Street how like a lot of the people didn't exactly have a big idea on who all the candidates running and what their policies were and stuff. And it almost kind of worries me a bit because I do believe like a lot of people in our age group aren't really that knowledgeable on a lot of political topics nowadays that are going to affect them in the future.
I agree on that. Like, I'm right there with you. Like, sometimes I don't pursue the politics as much as I should because it is a huge responsibility that we have now that we are able to vote and stuff. So I think that we definitely need to be more aware of what's going on in the political realm.
Yeah, I agree as well. And it's still early in the process. So not even a lot of people who aren't young adults are really paying attention yet to who the candidates are, who the issues are. But unfortunately, our generation does seem to lack an interest in midterm elections and off-year elections. So I'm hoping that we're able to coalesce together as a generation and really get involved in the process and run for office and vote for candidates and everything.
Yeah, especially with how it like affects us personally. Like, for instance, Bernie Sanders has a whole idea of like free college for students and everything, and you know, like, there's so many things that are going to affect our generation, and it's really important that we know what's going on, what we're voting for, what's passing, what's not, so that like a couple of years down the road we understand why things are happening, because we can stop bad outcomes and everything based on who we vote for, but no one our age seems to take interest, I feel.
Right. And
I'm sorry,
just touching on the no college or no like paying for college and everything, like it sounds good and everything, free college, but there's a few things that you really need to think about when that comes about, because number one, you think who's going to be paying for these teachers or professors to be showing up to class? Who's going to be paying for the dorms to have electricity? Who's going to be paying just for generic stuff, you know? And also, if you think if you had free college, you're less likely to show up to class because you're thinking, oh, I'm not paying for this. Why, why show up to psychology in the morning at 8:50 when I could just sleep in? So I think that there's really things like, even though they sound very beneficial, we really need to think them through more because they affect us so deeply.
But on the other hand, I think it's important that we really do tackle those tough button issues like college affordability. I mean, we're at the point when a lot of lower and middle class families cannot afford college anymore.
Right.
And although college isn't the end goal for all families in achieving financial success, it definitely is something that we really need to tackle, not just as young people, but as a government itself and a nation. And that's why I'm really looking forward to seeing what the candidates come out with. We've already seen candidates like Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders come out with these college affordability plans, and so I look forward to seeing what the Republicans come out as well. And I think it's going to be very interesting in how we can receive that.
This year, I feel like is very, very spread, because I know that in past years I've seen like a lot of Republicans that are very conservative, but I feel like this year almost they're like very, very conservative, and then a lot of the Democrats are more kind of an independent type Democrat. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm with you.
I mean, I still think some of the Democrats are taking more liberal stances. I mean,
well, like what I'm saying is the Democrats are more spread out on the spectrum, but I've noticed most of the Republicans running this year are very conservative. Like, there's no one really that's more independent.
It's really interesting seeing, especially a political phenomenon such as the Tea Party really push the political spectrum to the right. And I think you can see like the GOP trying to out-radicalize itself and seeing who can be the most far-right Republican. But I think a big question to bring out with that is at what expense to the general election. I mean, we saw Mitt Romney take some pretty strong stances in the Republican primary, and then he came back to bite him in the general election. So I think that's something that all candidates should keep in mind when they're running for the office in the primary, is how can this come back to bite me in the future if in the general election.
And speaking of candidates, do you guys think the presidential candidacy is being taken seriously? Like, for instance, Donald Trump, we all know, like, we all have our opinions on him and know how silly he is by, like, making sexual comments about his own daughter and making racist comments about Hispanics and everything. And people, like, actually, like, you know, agreeing on everything he's saying. Like, do you guys like find it like scary, like it's not really being taken seriously anymore? I mean, this is the person who's going to run our country and make decisions for our country and for our citizens. Like, so how do you guys feel about that?
Yeah, like I truly think that when you're going to say something, you really need to make sure that you know how it's coming across, because you could say two similar things, but they can come off completely differently. He's not being very polite with what he's saying, and I know I sound ridiculous, but there are some points that I kind of agree with. You know, he's not, it's just because he's not coming about it the right way.
His ideas, what I like to say is Trump, okay, first of all, I'm a person that's, I hate to say it, but like, I'm a anyone but Trump person just because I think he's a little crazy. Sorry. Sorry, everyone that likes him. But honestly, he has good ideas in theory, but the way he says it, he doesn't seem to have a filter. Like, the way he says things, like, I know, we have a big immigration problem with like Mexico. Like, that's true, But the way he said it, it comes out like almost racist, you know?
Right.
And like when you like hit topics like that, you can't do that. Like, Mexico is one of the countries that border us. They're one of our allies and stuff. You don't want that whole group of people, that whole nationality of people to hate us just because of one thing that one person says, one point of view. That's not to reflect the American people. And that, say Donald Trump becomes our leader, that will reflect the American people.
And that's something that you're seeing in the Republican primary is this anti-establishment movement developing, and that you have people like Carly Fiorina, Donald Trump, and Ben Carson really rising to the top of the polls, but they have no political experience whatsoever. I mean, Carly ran for California Senate a few years ago, but she lost by 10 points. So it's really interesting to see how they're really adapting to the political realm right now. They're not used to dealing with these types of questions, and so that's why I think you see people like Donald Trump really stumbling in the polls, because he's this TV media star and everything. So I don't know if he can really evolve into the Washington D.C. mantra.